Under all this grease and grossness, there is a 1UZ looking to be unveiled. So we're going to start peeling back the layers and reveal the beauty within. This is a quad cam 1UZ FE engine that we're going to stick in our Toyota Lexan wagon. A lot of people have said, why ruin this beautiful Sora by ripping out this great motor and then sticking it in what is basically a Commodore? Well, to be honest, this beautiful piece of Japanese engineering is not so beautiful. It is very rough, both underneath and on top. It's hail damage to crap, all right? You can't really see it under all this dust, but it is not a great car at all. But the engine is great, other than it's covered in this grossness. It's had some oil leaks and stuff, I think, and just driven in the dirt. So every piece of dirt that's drifted over the car has ended up embedded on the engine. But they are a great engine. You get great power out of these things, super reliable, super smooth, and with a bit of boost, they rip. But there's a lot of unnecessary rubbish on these engines, and we're going to remove a lot of that so we can get to the goodness within. But we're also going to do, not this episode, but we're going to get ready for our parts. We're going to do cams, springs, gaskets, studs. We're going to change the sump. So we need to prepare this engine so we can get all our bits onto it when they arrive. We're also waiting for bits for Superman and some of the other projects, which is why we're kind of bouncing around from car to car at the moment. But yeah, I think this will be an interesting experience. I've never worked on a 1UZ before, but I hear good things, and it definitely needs a cleanup. Right, well, got some Ryobi here. I've got me Hafco teardown bench and my nice little wheelie chair. We're going to start by stripping off the wiring loom and working our way down into the innards. Yeah, we'll do wiring loom, exhaust manifolds, engine mounts, all that stuff off, and then manifold and all that sort of stuff. Interesting to note that the timing belt was changed back when the engine had 111,000 Ks on it. I think now the number's up to about 280 something thousand Ks, so it definitely needs a timing belt. We will be doing that as well. We're going to do timing belt, balancer, water pump, all that stuff, basically like we did with the 1JZ, but this time no braking cams. Anyway, let's remove some wiring. You gotta love 90s plastic. I think every tab I've pushed on every connector has snapped so far. There he goes. Every one of them. So how's that little piece of complicated weirdness? So it's got two butterflies in there, and it's basically, yeah, I think it's some sort of traction control system. But yeah, I guess it just closes the second throttle body rather than, I guess this is in the times before they had, yeah, full electronic throttle body control, you know? So rather than trying to shut that throttle blade, where your cable's hooked to, it would shut that throttle blade and kill the power basically. So just ways they did things before, yeah, drive-by-wire throttle bodies and all that. Alrighty, we're getting close. Check out the leads, how thin they are. It's not coil on plug or anything. They've got this weird dizzy arrangement at the front of each, well, it's not, yeah. It's not each cam because only one cam has the dizzy on it and the other one's driven off the second one, I believe, so yeah. I think we might ditch this entire setup for a coil on plug style setup. It'll make life easier. So it looks like we've got, what is it, a coil per bank. So that's the coil for this side, and yeah, there's a coil there for that side. But yeah, I think coil on plug will be the way to go. Alright, it's getting there. I think the last wiring is the starter motor wiring. And the starter motor famously is under the intake manifold. Yes, that's right. The starter motor is under the intake. That's what happens when engineers hate mechanics. So a lot of people have been saying we should do a collab with Skid Factory and use one of their custom plenums. Well, obviously you haven't been watching and paying attention, because we did say ages ago we were doing exactly that. All right, so it needs, we need to do something about our water neck. But yeah, otherwise, that's gonna look mint. Very sexy. Okay, I think we can all agree that looks pretty sexy. There's only one little issue in that it hits this big massive bolt here. I just talked to Al about that from Skid Factory. Al said just pull the bolt out and put a Allen key in there or something like that, or cut the whole thing off, weld it up, which we could do as well. So, but that will look bloody brilliant once we clean the rest of the motor up. Now let's not sully it any further. Oh, wow. I swear there is a wild animal ready to jump out of this mess. Look at it. How are there not rats living in this? Wow. Crikey, I think we found a platypus nest. Let's just sneak up on it quietly, see if anyone's home. How good's this starter motor location though? I mean, really, if you're a mechanic, you want this starter motor to last forever. Because if someone comes to you with a job, I want you to replace the starter motor on my 1UZ, Yeah, that'll be $2,000, please. Yeah, a lot of labour involved. Imagine trying to get at these bolts in the car. They come out the back towards the bell housing. I mean, it'd have to be impossible to get to. The octopus is free. It's still filthy. So I've just bolted up a set of Castlemaine Rod Shop mounts. Now they make a set of mounts that bolt 1UZ into Commodore, and you need a V8 K-frame. So we have sourced previously a V8 K-frame from a VRVS Commodore. Here it is here, and as you can see, it's going to hit the sump. But we knew that was going to happen. So we already have a sump on the way. Sump's going to be a front sump setup. This is kind of a mid sump setup. So we need to do the front sump, which means we have to change it's not just the pan, it's like the whole bottom end of the motor, new pickup, the whole deal. Once that gets here, we'll be able to change all that over, and that will allow us to use our K-frame with our mounts, and all should be pretty good with the world, hopefully. So that's good to see. I just wanted to trial fit that now and kind of see where we were at. But yeah, that gives us a pretty good indication, I think, of where we will be. Just have to wait for that sump to arrive. But in the meantime, I've got to finish stripping the rest of the motor. So everything comes off the front, heads are going to come off. Yep, we are going the full banana. The dust that fell off. Wow. Well, I found the weak point in that. Should have used my 1/2-inch socket. Okay. There we go. Well, we're committed now. Okay, let's take a look inside. So at least it's not as manky inside as the 1JZ was out of the Trollbow. And it's very much like the 1JZ to work on in terms of the bolts, sizing, and the way everything works together. It's actually, yeah, as Toyota engineers, they know what they're doing. I kind of expected to see a short chain arrangement joining the cams together, but yeah, this geared setup is, yeah, I'd say that's got to be a lot better, and obviously we won't have to change anything to do with that, other than the fact that we're going to change the cams. Yep. good chance that we'll be putting some turbo grind cams in this thing, something to suit our turbo. Should be pretty cool. So next job will be getting these heads off, but I think that will be tomorrow's job because it is beer o'clock, and yeah, it's been a long day. Well, we got a lot done though. So let's come back tomorrow, finish her off. So we're back for another day. It's stinging hot outside, so I've transitioned to the shorty shorts. Now, we're going to pull some cams out of these so we can pull the heads off. Believe it or not, the heads are interchangeable from side to side. The cams just obviously go the other way when you turn the head around. I'm just going to undo the bottom cam first, and then I'll do the top cam. We'll see how that plays out. So just as with the JZ, the caps are all numbered with arrows, intake and exhaust, well, intake and exhaust. This is the intake cam, because there was cams on the bottom. Because the heads are ambidextrous, the arrows point towards the rear on this side and towards the front on that side. Just the way they do it. But I've released most of the pressure off that exhaust cam now. It's almost ready to come out. Just been sort of easing it off each cap at a time, just make sure there's no pressure build up. They're not very thick head bolts, so we're definitely going to use studs when we put this back together. Yeah. Head bolts and committed gaskets. She's a gusher. Wet and dry vacs, they are handy. We're almost there. So heads are gone. Have to send them off, get them cleaned up, but also we'll get new guides, new seals. I think they also need to be clearanced for the new cams and get them set up with the buckets and shims and all that sort of stuff. One last job to do on this, and that is drop the oil, flip her over, pull that sump off so we can get ready for our new sump. And then we can clean up this abortion of an engine. Ugh. All right, let's make a real mess and flip her over. Here it goes. So we have completed the teardown of our 1UZ. Heads are off, sumps off. We are, well, we're gonna have to do a massive cleanup on this thing before we put it together. But it's pretty varnished in there. It's not, hasn't had a good life, but hopefully it'll give us a bit more of its life. Hopefully not the end of its life. 6-bolt mains, which is amazing. You know, that is kind of one of the great things of the 1UZ, makes them super strong. We have the big rods, which is great. So we'll be able to put a bit of boost into it and make some real power, which is also good. I've just paid the guy to send us a front sump for it, so that will be winging its way to us soon. We won't have it, you know, this week, but we may have it next week, which will be great. I have to order cams and gaskets and studs and all that stuff, so we'll get that soon as well. So this won't be going back together in the next week or so. I think it'll, you know, we need to order the stuff, get the stuff, clean the engine at some time in the near future, and then put it all back together. And obviously you're going to see all that on future episodes of Carnage. Join us then.